Volcano Manor is the home of a racist snake god who thoroughly enjoys bullying the ethnic minorities of the lands between. But racism is no excuse for unsafe working conditions. That's why I will use the Stanford Safety Inspection checklist to find out whether or not Volcano Manor is safe. It really isn't! The entire castle is built on the top of an active volcano, which poses several significant overarching safety risks. We'll get into that later when it becomes relevant. The facade of Volcano Manor is strange. It looks beautiful from a distance, but if you pay attention, you will spot these weird wooden platforms with boxes on them. I couldn't tell you why they exist, but whatever reasons may be, the rough winds and heat from the volcano would surely eat away at the wooden platforms, which may cause them to fall and injure someone, making it a clear safety violation. Well, we made it inside, and already I am disappointed. I mean, look at this staircase. Look at all of these defects. This is terrible. Imagine, if you will, walking up these stairs, almost reaching the top before stepping on one or two broken steps and then tumbling all the way back down. You could break your leg, arm, neck, or your vagina. And if you do, who's gonna make me lasagna? I count 41 broken steps, and that's just the ones I can see. There are probably way more hidden beneath this thick rug. That's a violation. The rest of the interior is surprisingly safe, outside of some slightly weak illumination and this corpse. And this one. And that one. Volcano Manor has a corpse problem. The inside of the manor consists of the throne room, the second floor dining hall, the guest rooms, and the drawing room. Well, there's also this mysterious door which seemingly can't be opened from this side. Weird. Anyways, the staircase leading to the second floor, while less damaged, does seem to suffer from the same issues as the previous ones. The railing on the second floor, though, is great. It's the proper height with a generous amount of thickness. I feel safe. Few people know this, but Volcano Manor actually has a state-of-the-art computer setup. Unfortunately, it's shared amongst all the people who stay here, and because someone clicked on a hot singles in your area malvertisement,
I'm just so very lonely.
Everybody's personal details are now for sale on the dark web. That's a safety violation. But I don't want you to worry, because today's safety inspection is partnered with NordVPN. With one click, it reroutes your data and helps you stay safe. One account protects up to 10 devices.
That sounds neat, I should get that.
Yes! Also, when you do, use my link nordvpn.com/lostmysanity to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan and 4 extra bonus months. Find out whether or not your data has been leaked onto the dark web with NordVPN's Dark Web Monitor. Here's a not so fun fact. While I was making this integration, I used this service to discover that one of the games I played a while back had a data breach. Luckily, nothing happened to me, but I really wished I'd known sooner. This guy is really sad, because whenever he is online, he is constantly flooded by pop-ups blocking the screen. If only he used the special NordVPN threat protection, TM, to avoid that. He's also a ghost, but that is unrelated. And if you're still on the fence, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just remember to use my link in the description and pinned comment to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan and 4 additional bonus months. This wall is strange. Turns out there is a secret door here leading to what I assume to be a utility passage. It's completely dark, but I'm not writing that up as a violation because this is more of a bring your own torch kind of area. I'm not a big fan of all this hay. Given the fact that you have to use a torch when you're in this room, you might set yourself on fire. That's bad. This is a good example of going from being irresponsible all the way to reckless. This door has fallen off its hinges. Okay, I understand it, stuff happens, but they didn't even bother removing the door from the floor. This is a tripping hazard, and given that it's probably a bit rusty, you can get tetanus from this. This guy's a cutie pie, but I also don't think he's supposed to be here. I don't think he's a pet. I think these guys are vermin, and that the people at Volcano Manor are just bad at keeping these things out. That's a violation. This ceiling is a little weird. That being said, I understand that creating castles and secret passages is a lot of work, and so they may have taken a shortcut and just let the ceiling be like this. It's kind of funny though that they really put a lot of effort into the doors and the walls, but they left the ceiling like that. But I have personally been in castles that have this type of ceiling, so I'm gonna say not unsafe. Another broken door though, that is unsafe. If it wasn't evident from the extreme collapse of multiple buildings and a significant portion of the infrastructure, building a town on top of a mountain actively spitting out fire juice isn't very cash money. As I said earlier, there are two main issues here as far as safety is concerned. Obviously, it would get very hot very quickly. Normally, when lava is exposed to air, it creates a thin crust around it. As you can see here, it flows in a really interesting way, seemingly inflating like a balloon. That's not what's happening in Elden Ring. The lava in Volcano Manor is basically forbidden taffy, never losing its orange glow. If no crust is created, then we need to assume there are dangerous levels of heat, probably around lava's highest temperature, which peaks out at 1200 degrees Celsius. And that's enough to eat through most minerals and man-made substances like concrete. No wonder this entire place collapsed. That's a violation. And yes, I know I can just walk in the lava, but I feel like that's just me being really strong and not lava being weak. A more insidious issue would be the hydrogen sulfide gas. It's a highly toxic, flammable gas, sometimes referred to as stink damp due to its foul-smelling nature. Because it's heavier than air, hydrogen sulfide can reach dangerous levels of concentration in low-lying and enclosed spaces. Any basement and/or classic dungeon setup in Volcano Manor should be considered extremely unsafe. Prolonged exposure to this gas would result in eye irritation, headaches, unconsciousness, and finally, death. All of which is a safety violation. From top of Prison Town, there are two paths to take. One is a sensible walk down the main road, and the other is parkouring across the town roofs. The main road is problematic due to the many different piles of dead bodies. They're just left out to rot in the open. I conservatively counted 29 piles of improperly disposed corpses, all of which are currently coalescing into a rotten mound of corpse flesh. It's frustrating to see, especially considering they have a perfectly usable lake of lava right there. There's also the occasional scrap metal and a chain door. I know it's called Prison Town, but I still consider that a violation. Then there is the second path, the rooftops. There's something really weird here, but first, these rooftops have clearly not been designed to be traversed, yet the locals still use them. They even added this little bridge thing. That's a violation, improper extension of a building. For safety, they need to add some sort of fence right here, prohibiting the people and snake people of using this area as a shortcut. If you paid attention earlier, did you notice the weirdness? All the chimneys are actively spitting out smoke. You would think that a place that is dangerously close to being submerged in lava wouldn't exactly need the extra heat. Maybe they are burning up inside, in which case, that's a violation. Another thing that's worth noticing is that the chimneys are all lacking a chimney cap. With an uncapped chimney, rainwater can enter the flue and corrode it from the inside. This can eventually cause structural problems in your home, damaging the attic, ceilings and walls, leading to you living inside of a safety violation. I have 2 notes here. We have a very solid and well-maintained staircase with a proper railing leading us to the 2nd floor. Unfortunately, the 2nd floor has completely collapsed. The guest hall is stupid and it makes me angry. To begin with, this building has several floors, and you would think to navigate it, you would simply walk up and down some stairs or maybe make use of a ladder or 2. No. In order to get to this room, you have to first use the ladder on the outside of the building, walk over to this ledge and jump down to this balcony, which by the way doesn't have a railing. That's how you access the old Benoric torture area. I don't understand why they felt the need to isolate this room, but in doing so, they committed several safety violations, all rolled into one. This opens up another question though. By its very nature, torture equipment isn't exactly meant to be safe. But I figure there are reasonable safety precautions you can take when using it, and after you finish. For example, this chair, known as the iron chair in medieval Europe, would see its victim strapped to it, while iron spikes dug into their flesh. Many versions also had a small compartment below the seat, allowing for a piece of coal to be placed so that the victim would also slowly be roasted alive. Fun! The guest hall chairs do have an opening in the back, but considering that the chairs here are mainly made out of wood, starting a fire here seems to me to be irresponsible. My main issue with the device is not how it operates, but rather the cleanup. Every chair here is covered in what I assume to be butt blood. That's a biohazard. While I do understand that the cleanup after the process can be somewhat tedious, it's still a very important aspect of keeping the torture safe. That's a violation. On a more general note, the guest house suffers from severely damaged floors, illumination is poor, lit candles are placed directly on wooden surfaces, there is clutter everywhere, and the hallways are filled with the mentally ill. They also forgot to put a railing here. That's a lot of violations. Is this the most unsafe elevator in the lands between? Yes. Yes, it is. The Temple of Aele is covered in irresponsible candles. Not only is placing a lit candle on a rug a safety hazard, cleaning that rug after the wax has soaked into the fabric is a nightmare. The temple does have the unique honor of having one of the few elevators in the lands between without a pit of death underneath it, so that's something, but strangely, once you reach the top level, you will find that there are almost no safety railings whatsoever, with one exception, which is this bridge. I mean, why even bother at that point? I'm also going to consider this giant snakeskin a violation, given that it's only fastened to the walls by 2 bolts. Funnily, there is a 3rd bolt hidden inside, but it doesn't help the skin stay up. Now, currently, this elevator is out of order, and it got a death pit, so that's a violation. Twice over. In order to continue, we have to jump over this balcony. This area itself is very unsafe, but considering we were never supposed to be here, I'm gonna mark this as not applicable. The next area has a lot of issues, but they are fairly emblematic of what we have already seen so far, with corpse piles, unclean torture equipment, and the lack of railings. There is, however, one new disturbing development. We come across these people who seemingly exude poisonous fumes from their face. That's the worst place to exude fumes. It's not unlikely that these people ended up like this due to the faulty or non-existent personal protection equipment. Either way, the hoarse moaning cannot be ignored. That's definitely a safety violation. And this guy got an egg on his head. That's gonna reduce visibility. That's a violation. This entire room is so gross. All of this is a violation. Then there is this room, where you have to parkour onto prison cages and avoid falling into the vast darkness below. This is actually way worse than you might expect at first. Yes, several rooms have obviously collapsed into one giant one. That's a safety violation. But after that, they hung cages from the ceilings on chains that are longer than the original rooms. So this is not just a derelict area, they are actively using it like this, which is a violation squared. Once we reach the bottom, we are yet again surrounded by piles of corpses, poor illuminations, and the ramblings of the mentally infirm. We also find this thing, a concentrated dose of space cancer. I probably shouldn't have touched that. This next room is up to code. And from here, we follow a hallway that leads all the way back to this door, which is the mystery door that we saw when we first entered. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the inspection done. Here is Thumby with the report.
Volcano Manor is really bad.
Is that it?
My head still hurts after I got hit by that box.